Hey kid. Are you sick of fearing for your life in your own home? Well, maybe you should step into the outdoors, and as you feel the warm sun on your face and the rustle of grass beneath your feet, that feeling of overbearing dread will just soak away. Oh wait. Oh no. Well, that's not good. Hammers. Jeez. Not even the sheep are safe. So, it shouldn't be too controversial to say that crime is, well, a bit of an issue. And it seems that no society has ever been or will ever be free from the threat of criminals waiting to prey upon their unsuspecting victims, like some kind of, I don't know, anti-Batman. So I thought I'd take a look at some of the crimes looming over my home country of Britain.
When did you start carrying knives?
12.
Can I just see what you had? That's not a knife, that's...
Not me.
Why do you carry that weapon?
Because I live in fear of my life, and as long as I've got this with me, I feel safe.
They say if you carry a knife, you go to prison for 4 years, but then I hear people getting 3, 4, 5 warnings. So people aren't really taking the law seriously. For any under 18-year-old to get a knife, it's as easy as going onto Amazon and clicking something for next day delivery, and it gets delivered. It's not regulated.
Police realised long ago that enforcement alone would not solve knife crime.
Really where we need to get to, I think both police and everybody collectively, is reducing the number of young people that think it is either desirable or acceptable to carry a knife because of all the consequences.
The police make regular weapons sweeps. In Peckham, another part of South London, on a troubled estate, officers found 2 knives within half an hour.
They're just left around in these areas to be used as weapons and picked up by gangs and other violent individuals. So when we stop and search them on the streets, they won't have them on them. They'll be ready to hand if they come into conflict in this area. They'll be able to pick them up easily and use them.
So the other day I had a dream that my friend Jake was trying to force feed me beans out of his father's old cowboy boots as he sang Tiptoe Through the Tulips through the mouth hole of a Sailor Moon PVC mask, and as such I woke up in a bit of a state. So I thought maybe I should walk it off, go for a little stroll. But wait, no. The outside world is filled with nothing but swinging blades, flying Molotov cocktails and drive-by slappings. Or so you might believe. And with those thoughts paramount in my mind, I asked, should I stay inside? Should I dare leave the house? Well, yes, because the real question is Britain the deadliest place on earth?
You make a weapon out of just sharpening some plastic.
Anywhere sells weapons. You can go to a hardware shop and buy a hammer.
People try taking over your territory, mate, you got to defend it.
Knife crime is a hot topic, and for good reason. As you may have gathered from the clips I've sprinkled throughout the video so far, many see it as one of the biggest issues my country is currently facing. But when no one can really agree on a solution, what can we do? A lot of people will say that we need to address the root cause before we start over-policing certain areas. You know, many people equate police presence to incitement or intimidation. And while I can see that point of view, when we have over 50,000 knife crimes a year, maybe addressing the root cause at this point is just too little, too late. It seems that the right idea would be to make a push for both, crack down on knife crime whilst addressing social issues like domestic and sexual abuse, poor education and poverty. But then the main issue falls down to the lack of manpower. Currently in the UK, there's a national shortage of police officers.
A survey has found nearly 1 in 5 officers plan to simply quit.
You look at the amount of discontent in policing with the low morale, the high fatigue. It's a bit of a stark warning really to those that fund policing to say, look, there are issues here that need to be addressed quite urgently.
Final question to you. If someone came to you now and said, you know, I'm thinking of joining the police, would you say, yes, do it? Would you recommend it? What would you say?
If you look at the current paying conditions, the erosion of our pension, the issues we have, the toxicity that surrounds policing at the moment, you can't blame people for not thinking. And for me, it'd be with a heavy heart, I'd probably say it's good for experience, come in and experience it yourself, see what you can do. but is it a long-term career that it used to be? Sadly, I don't think it is anymore, so it would probably be a no.
So with that and the fact that social workers have been spread far too thin for decades, I'm not entirely sure how bright the future looks. I mean, I'm sure there is a solution out there somewhere, but we're still struggling to find it. With the reports on knife crime leading most to believe that leaving your apartment, or flat as we call it, will basically result in this. It's understandable why some may be a little fearful. So just how deadly is it out on the British streets? Well, currently there are roughly 693 murders a year, which works out to a little under 2 per day. Now, 1 is too many, but on the whole we're not doing too bad, given that you have roughly around a 1 in 34 million chance of being murdered. There's a pretty damn good odds that if you do pluck up the courage to venture out into the great outdoors, then most likely you're coming back alive. But murder isn't the only thing to fear. You see, not all violent crime ends in a brutal homicide. Oh no. And with many believing that the average trip to the bar, or pub as we say in the King's English, will end like this.
Come on!
Well, with 50,500 offences in 2003 involving sharp instruments, mainly knives.
Come round and stab me, and then I thought, oh no.
It's not hard to understand why many may have that kind of mindset. Now, from memory, as a precious little child, the risk of being stabbed back then was almost non-existent. I mean, I took a few hits, like, to the head, stomach, chest, legs, back, arms and face, but I was never stabbed. At least I think I wasn't. I mean, to be honest, I don't really remember. After all those beatings, it's hard to recall exactly what happened, but I distinctly remember that fear didn't permeate every moment in the fresh air. Well, as fresh as Birmingham air can be. And knife culture did become more prevalent as I got a little older. One of my closest friends caught a knife in the palm, another guy I knew was stabbed multiple times in the face. There were machete attacks at the pub a little ways up the road from my school, and just a few years ago, I was talking to a friend of mine who was working behind the counter of a video game store, or shop, as the recently deceased Queen would say, when a man tried to hold him up with a screwdriver, but after a little talking to, we rolled him a cigarette and he went on his merry way. That story is absolutely true, by the way. It was fucking insane. So, I'd say knife crime is a bit of an issue. So, what do we do about it? Well, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think anyone does. I mean, they could ban knives, but then what do we do? Ban sharp sticks, pointy rocks, shards of glass? If that were to happen, I imagine the offences committing involving blunt instruments would promptly skyrocket. So unfortunately, as hot as a debate topic as it is amongst our politicians, I don't think there's a clear answer. Maybe if there were a push to get the police to increase the number of stop and searches, that would discourage some from carrying their deadly sharp instruments.
Just tell me why you've got that.
Because if somebody backs out a knife to me, I'm going to have something bigger to scare them, so I'm not scared.
If the police said they were going to do more stop and search, would that put you off carrying something like that?
Of course. They just have to be hidden somewhere.
Stop and search absolutely works as a policing tactic.
According to the Prime Minister, it has no effect on knife crime.
As a professional police officer, my position would be that stop and search is an absolutely crucial tactic in dealing particularly with something like knife crime.
But how do you convince politicians that it's the right thing to do?
Well, I think we convince politicians by effectively using stop and search and getting the results that we need from stop and search and managing some of those community tensions that you described.
But given that these days everyone seems to just fucking hate the police, granting them any further authority is tantamount to, well, treason. So that's just not happening. Unfortunately, knife crime is just one of the risks of living in modern day Britain. But there are risks to living in any part of the world. If you fall asleep on a beach in Australia, a fucking saltwater crocodile is going to drag you into the ocean. Harrowing. And with that shameless whataboutism aside, is there something pushing Britain's youth into a life of crime? Well, let's find out.
UK drill is at the creative front line of British urban music. It's young and it's brash, but there's no denying its provocative imagery and the nihilistic fetishization of violence, the kind of not-so-trivial postcode rivalries that have cost the lives of dozens of young black men already this year.
So, what's causing kids to become so, well, stab happy? Is it the music?
Virginity is cool. Come on, come on.
Now, I won't shy away from the fact that some of the music that kids are listening to these days can be a little, well, let's say, aggressive.
It's mad, it's fucked. Try play dead, keep digging your lungs. Rip my soul from his fucking chest and drink his blood. How's that for lunch? You could be big, built and tough, but you cry like a bitch when we chop your tongue.
But music has always been linked to violence. I mean, in the UK, you had the Teddy Boys in the 50s, the mods and rockers in the 60s, you had punks in the 70s, and so on and so forth. So I'm not ready to believe that if you listen to drill rap that you're going to whip on a hoodie, grab a kitchen knife and wrap a balaclava around your face as you start stabbing with wild abandon. Clearly not. Now, that's not to say that people involved in drill rap haven't been perpetrators in or victims of horrific crimes, because they definitely have.
Today, a judge banned 5 young drill artists from performing or uploading songs that incite violence. They call themselves 1011 after their West London postcode. One November night last year, the men were arrested carrying weapons. They initially claimed that the weapons were just props for, guess what, a music video. But the court heard they were in fact plotting revenge against a rival group who'd threatened one of their grandmothers. But they eventually pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit violent disorder. Look at the weapons found in their possession and consider the hyper-local tit-for-tat beefs glorified in their lyrics. Like No Hook, a song that makes repeated references to stabbing. So, is this just fantasy, or do violent songs encourage violent acts?
But I'm still not willing to lay the blame at a genre of music. That's just too easy of an answer. But that doesn't mean that there isn't anything to blame.
And so you're still on the street?
I ain't on the street, fam. These youths are on the street for man.
No, he just uttered the words, I ain't on the street, fam. These youths are out on the street for man. Now, what he's trying to say in his fucking garbled pig language is, I'm not out on the streets. The youth are out on the streets for me. Now, it gets worse, but bear with it.
These youths are on the street moving the food for me, fam. I'm not on road, fam. I'm the man they come to. I don't need to be on road. What do I need to be on road for, fam?
Okay, so again, he just said the words, these youths are out on the streets moving food for me, fam. And then he stuttered for a while and said, I'm not on road. I'm not on road. What do I need to be on road for, fam? So again, what he's just emphasising is that he's not out on the streets selling the drugs. He has children to do that for him because he doesn't need to be out on the streets.
So you get the you get the young people to do.
Of course, fam. All it takes is a bit of encouragement. You get me? No youth wants no £7.20 hour a job, fam.
Fuck it. I'm just gonna dub his voice.
When I show them this, do you understand? That's all it takes, friend.
How long does it take to make that?
1 or 2 days, my friend. 1 or 2 days. And these children are slaving away for a paycheck when they can make this amount of money in a couple of days.
Yeah, but the young people see money.
Yes.
And I guess you guys kind of glamorize that money.
Of course, we glamorize it because we get it. We get the money out here.
So where do the young people fit into all of this?
They're easy targets, just easy targets. Do you understand me? They don't want to be under meaningful employment. No. Racking up a student debt? Not at all. There's easy money to be made out here. Easy money. All you have to do is push some drugs and the money's yours. Quite simple. Clearly. I mean, it isn't rocket science.
So the young people coming up now have got to look out for people like you?
Not necessarily, because I look out for them.
Alright.
You see, I target them. If I see a young child who's an easy target, I target them, and I'm targeting him because I know he wants money, and I know he's going to make me money.
Now, let's just hear that again in his own voice so you can get more of a sense of his character.
So the young people coming up now have got to look out for people like you.
Not necessarily, because I look out for them.
Alright.
I target them. If I see a man is an easy target, man is targeting him because I know he's going to get this P for me, and I know that he wants P.
Now, in spite of this man being stabbed to death in his own home a little while after this interview, yes, that actually happened. What I've just shown you is unfortunately not an isolated incident, and I'm about to give the bravest statement of my entire life here, but children being victimised, targeted and exploited for the use of drug trafficking is not good, is it? It's not good, it's bad, it's really bad, it's awful. And the people out there exploiting these kids are, well, pure, unfiltered scum. Every last one of them. Scum.
They need money, and mummy and daddy ain't got no money. So who do they come to? They come to uncle, and uncle send them out there. This is what I give to the people and the little kids, and they go out for me.
Drug dealers are aggressively exploiting children, targeting them because of their age and their vulnerability. An investigation by ITV News reveals that large numbers of children are being systematically groomed and pushed to the front line of the UK's trade in Class A drugs. We've seen an internal Home Office document that shows, for the first time, this is now a problem gripping the whole country, and it admits that the authorities are struggling.
One of the main reasons drug dealers use children is for the simple fact that when they're caught, any drugs they're carrying are seized and their punishment amounts to a few sessions with a social worker where they promise to never do it again, cross their hearts and hope to die. Now, it goes without saying that when it comes to children, well, we need to be diligent. You see, kids are for the most part kind of naive, and for want of a better term, well, they're pretty fucking stupid. There's a reason that up to a certain age we need to constantly watch them with the utmost diligence to make sure they don't kill themselves, and as such they make easy targets for criminal gangs to exploit. You see, for an adult, the cost of being caught with drugs amounts to very serious charges and pretty harsh prison sentences. So they offload that risk onto children, mostly because, well, they're complete scum, but also, you see, to a young kid, a few £100, or what's the American equivalent, several $1,000s, to these criminals, well, that's just a drop in the ocean, but to a child, that's a lot of money.
Nicole is telling her own story. Difficult to hear, but important to understand the abuse, the exploitation of children, our children, up and down the country. Nicole was 11 years old.
They offer you like what, £400 or £500 to anyone else, a grown up that is on a working wage, that is nothing. To a little Ben who is sleeping on a mattress and with no food unless they get fed off their friends, that's everything. So naive, it was yes, 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 okay. What was planned to happen didn't happen. And I had to do a lot of things that I didn't want to do to get out of that situation alive. If I hadn't have done what I was asked to do, which was sexual, physical, mental, then I don't think I would be here today. I don't think. Seeing people get kettled like with boiling water, I've seen people get stabbed because of a little disagreement over things like £20. £20 people are getting hurt for.
Now, there's nothing I can really say to emphasise how awful that kind of situation is, other than to reiterate that the people forcing young girls like Nicole into drug trafficking are scum. Every single one of them is pure scum. Now, to lighten the mood a little, I thought I'd end the video by talking about a serial killer. Now, he's not exactly a serial killer. He tried his hardest, he did his damnedest, but he couldn't quite get there, reach those lofty heights. And unfortunately, he ended up just being, well, a bit of a moron. But hang on, I hear you proclaim in befuddlement. Serial killers are all geniuses, masterminds, triple-digit IQs. Well, no. You see, unfortunately, what most movies and TV shows have led you to believe just simply isn't true. Most serial killers are, for the most part, fucking idiots. See, there's a reason why most killers are caught after their first murder.
I'll be out. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years.
So, well, let's take a look at this chap, shall we? The man who sold his soul. This is Daniel Hussein. And, well, he really wanted to be rich. So, forgoing the ideas of starting a business, investing in cryptocurrency,
Fuck Bitcoin.
or, God forbid, becoming a YouTuber,
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
he decided to try and win the lottery. And given that you have more chance of being struck by lightning 6 times and surviving than winning the lottery, well, Daniel thought he had the right idea to tip the odds in his favour when he drew up a handwritten contract to a demon in his own blood, because of course it fucking was, stipulating that in exchange for killing 6 women every 6 months, he would be granted the winning ticket to the Mega Millions Super Lottery jackpot. Now, the sheer fucking lunacy of that aside, I've always wondered, why is it always women? I mean, if you want to impress a demon, maybe kill like 6 Chad gym bros, or, I don't know, a few jacked bodybuilders every 6 months. I mean, surely that's a better trade, right? Or, you know, just don't fucking kill anyone. But little old Daniel, well, not murdering innocent, unsuspecting women, that just wasn't in his wheelhouse. And legitimately, it seriously fucking pains me to say this, but after 2 innocent people lost their lives, he was apprehended and sentenced to life in prison.
Bieber Henry on the left and her sister Nicole Smallman are about to have a party in a North London country park. This was last summer, a few months into the first lockdown. Just a few hours later, the evening would end with a ferocious attack and the deaths of both of them.
That's it. That's it.
Take your hand for everybody.
You're under arrest.
The killer had just turned 18. Daniel Hussein, under arrest here a few weeks later, believed he would win the lottery if he sacrificed women.
Hands on your head, stay where you are. You're under arrest, alright?
Now, you'd hope that life in prison actually means life, but no, not in the great United Kingdom. The average life sentence here in jolly old Great Britain lasts for around 16.5 years, so make of that what you will. Now, Daniel's father had expressed concerns that he had fallen in with the wrong crowd. Right, okay, well, what exactly was this crowd? When most parents share that sentiment, they mean people who might partake in the devil's lettuce, listen to loud, brash music, or maybe they're into, good heavens, skateboarding. But if your kids are writing contracts in blood and making deals with demonic entities, well, what in the fuck does that crowd look like? I'm sure God only knows. So after this little foray into the dangers of modern day Britain, just how dangerous is jolly old England? Well, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I've got really no point of contrast. I have lived in other countries for a time, but those are also incredibly safe countries. And I do think Britain is on the whole quite a safe place to live. I mean, it's definitely more dangerous than some places, but it's certainly a lot safer than others. So, how do I sum this up? Well, I suppose I can say with absolute certainty that living in England is definitely safer than living at the bottom of the ocean. And yeah, that's about it. So, bye. Bye everyone.